Another part to the final case of the base game of Spirit of Justice before we do the downloadable case. And last we were here, we're apparently going to go up against Phoenix, who's going to apparently prosecute Daisy.
Well, I'm sorry, and I had to also touch the base that while you're off air, I professed my love for Simon Blackwell.
Yeah, apparently, my fiance said if she were to cheat with anybody, it would be with Simon Blackwell.
Okay, you're welcome. Carry on.
Just so you know, I'm not going to take sides. Message received loud and clear. Good, because I don't like this one bit. You and Daddy should be on the same team. Sorry, Chusey. Wow, she's really mad. I'm sorry too, little lady. This is all my fault. I'm just worried things will never be the same between Daddy and Apollo if they go through with this. Is that all? Well, I wouldn't worry about that. That's the way it is with us men. We may fight, but we don't burn bridges. Really? Sure, one minute we're trading blows, and the next we're having drinks together.
That is true.
Yeah.
I've seen that, like, in real life.
Yeah.
And I don't know why dudes can do that, because women, I feel, are not capable of this.
We're quite talented at that. And I don't know if there's even a science to it, but I sure hope you're right. Sorry I'm late, Apollo. Now thinking of there you are. What happened with you and Mr. Wright yesterday? Oh, about that, I ended up going to the wrong airport. I was waiting there thinking his flight was really late, and before I knew it, I dozed off. By the time I woke up, it was already dark. I figured something like that had happened. Being late and dozing off are the two things you do best. Ugh, guilty as charged. So then, I take it you have no idea what today's case is about? Not a clue, sorry. What is today's case about, if I may ask? Another locked room mystery? A suspect with a flimsy alibi? Ooh, or a dying message? Sorry, strike 3, you're out. It's a civil case. Civil case? Yeah, I'm speaking Swahili here.
Congratulations, you do fine.
It's just the right naming agency specializes in criminal law, or so I thought. There you go. In civil cases, there are no prosecutors, right? Instead, both parties retain an attorney. Right, and the other attorney is someone you know very well. Really? Who? The trial will begin shortly. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. Okay, let's do this. Apollo, wait, who's the other attorney? And where is Mr. Wright? No time to explain, let's go. Okay, right behind you. Alright, well, she's gonna have a reaction.
She is.
Court is now in session. Is this some sort of practice session? A mock trial, perhaps? No, it's not, Your Honor. It's the real deal, Your Honor. Alright, let me see. Take a look at the court record again. Alright, well, all the nice little refresher on the evidence there. Alright. So, then you two have had a falling out? I won't have to use my courtroom for that, you know. It's nothing like that, Your Honor. Exactly, it just so happens that we have different clients in this case. I see. Well, here's to hoping this has no adverse effect on your working relationship. You can say that again. I had no idea we'd be going up against the boss today. You sure this is a good idea, Apollo? What, do you want to switch sides? Honestly, I'd rather be anywhere but here right now. Well, at least she is here. I'm really going to need her help. Mr. Justice? Yes? Don't expect me to pull any punches just because you're the opposing lawyer. As I said, the kid gloves are off, and come what may, they'll stay off. Same here, Mr. Wright. If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get. Yeesh, you guys are really chomping at the bit, aren't you? Oh, Katie, get out of the way. I can't read. I can only read a good fight between... Let's keep this civil case civil. Okay, here we go. I don't mind a good fight between co-workers. Just keep this civil case civil. Now then, if the plaintiff would like the stand, we may begin. Would take the stand.
He's not gonna come in his like cart, is he? Oh, yeah, he is.
Seriously? Noble judge, members of the gallery, good day to you. I am politician. This is but the start of my epic campaign, and you all have the honor of witnessing it. I believe the youth of this country are our very future. Too long have they been looked down on and given the cold shoulder. So to them I say, ask not what you can do for your country. Ask what you...
You for me.
Wow. Mr. Attition, what is this crazy contraption you're writing in? Heh heh heh, it's my custom-made election-winning campaign mobile. Beautiful, isn't it? You're at a witness stand, not a campaign podium, so come out of there this instant. Feh. All right, now, would the plaintiff's attorney, Mr. Wright, please explain the complaint filed against the defendant? Mr. Attition's complaint against the defendant is simple. Bless you. The defendant, one Dirk Sanmati, stole my client's family heirloom, the crystal of Amy Faye. Mr. Attition merely seeks its return. This wouldn't have happened if that archaeologist hadn't kicked the bucket. I see. Well, Mr. Justice, let's have your opening statement if you would. The defense asserts the item in question is the Founder's Orb, a sacred relic from Khura'in. Go on. It seems someone asked an archaeologist, Dr. Archie Buff, to study the orb. Dr. Buff determined that it was a Khura'inese national treasure known as the Founder's Orb. The very orb that was stolen from a treasure room in Khura'in several weeks ago. Why, yes, I saw a news report about that. The theft of a Khura'inese national treasure caused quite an uproar in the kingdom. Well, we believe it was not, in fact, a theft in the traditional sense, but rather that it was spirited out of Khura'in by someone for Dr. Buff to study. You don't say. And around that time, an acquaintance of the defendant learned of Dr. Buff. He made contact with the doctor, who agreed to hand over the orb. It had been stolen. It seems you even have a transfer agreement between both parties. Mr. Sanmati also agreed to return the Founder's Orb to the kingdom. Verified, it was the real thing. I see, so this dispute centers on whether the item in question is the Founder's Orb or the Crystal of Amy Faye. That, in turn, will determine the object's rightful owner. I'd rather bring my A-game. Going up against Mr. Wright won't be a walk in the park. Come to think of it, the name Dirk Sanmati sounds awfully familiar. But I can't recall where I've heard it. Oh, it's probably your imagination, Your Honor. He's just a tourist after all. About this Apollo, he's a wanted criminal in Khura'in, isn't he? In Khura'in, yes. Here, he's just a tourist. Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Bailiff, would you please bring in the first witness?
What's this?
Emma. Emma? Show some manners. We're in court. I know, it's just, this is a civil trial, so I was surprised to see a detective take the stand. I had her do some digging on Dr. Buff. What for? You disappoint me, Apollo. First, you know I'm not just a detective. I'm a forensic scientist. Do try to remember that. Second, you owe Mr. Wright an apology. After all he's done for you, you have some... You'll never get anywhere with that attitude. Take some advice from someone who's been there. Why do I feel like I'm on trial here? Detective Sky, your testimony, if you please. You know, it's funny, like when you think about it, her relationship between the two, her first one started with Phoenix, who helped basically make her relationship with her sister better, right? And cleared the cloud and fog out of that relationship. And so she met Apollo on a professional basis. So if she has any allegiance, it would probably swing more toward Phoenix. The police have had their eyes on Dr. Buff for some time, and just today a number of stolen artifacts were discovered in his study. Among them were a priceless urn and a statue that were stolen from the Fae clan. Oh yeah, that's where I remember that statue. It seems the Doctor would do anything to study artifacts, including stealing them. As for the relic at the center of this dispute, he likely stole it from the Attition residence. The Doctor is a thief? Why am I just hearing about this now? Well, cat burglar isn't something he put on his resume. He was more careful than that. But the fact is, he was a classic treasure hunter. A treasure hunter, huh? Like people who have thrilling adventures in exotic places, risking life and limb for glory. I doubt Dr. Buff was the star of his own hit movie series, Athena. Out of respect for the dead, I will say that Dr. Buff wasn't doing it to get rich. Apparently, he only wanted to borrow artifacts to study them. He would then return them as soon as his research was finished. According to the Doctor's child, he would even repair or restore some of the artifacts he stole before returning them. He believed he was honoring the dead by discovering their history through artifacts. But whatever lofty ideals he held, it made no difference. Larceny is larceny. Yes, he certainly sounds no different from a regular thief to me. So let's say for a moment that the Doctor really did moonlight in stealing artifacts. Might he not have stolen the Founder's Orb in Khura'in and brought it back here himself? Nope. There's no record of him traveling overseas over the past few years. Plus, he couldn't very well leave his reclusive child at home all alone. Then this really must be the crystal of Amy Faye. Yes, he stole it from the Attition residence, probably so he could study it. This is the left hook I did not need. I bet you never saw that coming, Apollo. Yeah, when Mr. Wright said the kid gloves were off, he wasn't kidding. Mr. Justice, you may proceed with your cross-examination. See, now that Phoenix is a prosecutor, the judge agrees with him all the time. Maybe he needs to switch sides.
Hold it.
Hold it!
How exactly did Dr. Buff arouse the suspicion of the police anyway? Chalk it up to the good old-fashioned sleuthing. After investigating countless artifact thefts over the past few years, the police finally zeroed in on him, and the Doctor became their prime suspect. A number of those artifact thefts occurred in Khura'in Village, too, if I might add. And they started right around the time the Doctor moved there. But he was never arrested. I take it there was nothing concrete linking him to a crime. No, which is why we were never able to get a search warrant in the first place. It's hard to arrest artifact thieves unless you catch them red-handed. Still, the police had him under constant surveillance.
Hold it!
Are you sure these allegedly stolen artifacts are the real deal? They're not fakes, that's for sure. Take the urn, for example. Apparently, it's an extremely intricate work of art. Its design, cracks, and other features would be impossible to replicate perfectly.
That's not true. Wasn't it broke before?
Yeah, in the second case of the second game. Because it was Pearls who put it back to say Amy instead of Mia. Actually, I've had a few run-ins with that urn myself, so I was shocked to see it there in the Doctor's study. I can say without a doubt that that urn was stolen from the Fae clan. I see. Detective Sky, please continue with your testimony if you would.
Hold it!
Were any other stolen artifacts found besides those belonging to the Faes? Yes, for instance. Remember the large relief on the wall? It was chiseled out of some ancient ruins in the Kingdom of Khura'in several years ago. Well, there's Khura'in. So we could have gotten something for Khura'in. Chiseled out? Didn't that damage it? Well, he did restore the parts that were so faded you could barely see them anymore. It seemed he intended to return it someday, so one could say his intentions were good. But good intentions are no get-out-of-jail-free card, that's a fact. If I might add, with respect for the deceased, the quality of the restoration was apparently exceptional. It seems the doctor invested a lot of money in hiring an extremely talented specialist. He sounds like a good man who took a wrong turn somewhere. I guess Sarge takes after him in that way. Any further questions? If not...
Hold it!
Had these alleged thefts been going on for some time? At least 5 years, as far as we can tell. All the recent thefts had been local, but before moving to Karain Village, he had been stealing from ruins around the world. Dr. Buff was an international criminal. This data lends itself to but one conclusion. Dr. Buff was a thief.
Hold it!
You claim you stole a family heirloom from the Attition residence, but claiming something doesn't make it true. Unfortunately, it is true. How can you be so sure? A police report was filed concerning the theft 1 year ago, in fact. What? A whole year ago? August 25th of last year, to be exact. The report states, and I quote, "The crystal of Amy Faye was discovered to be missing. From the Attition storehouse at 10 a.m. The storehouse lock had been picked." Signed, Politician Wimperson. Well, a year-old report certainly lends the plaintiff's claim credence. The doctor really could have stolen the crystal of Amy Faye. Not only that, Your Honor, but the Founder's Orb was only found to be missing several weeks ago. That is nearly a year after the crystal's theft was reported. Therefore, I believe we must consider the orb and the crystal to be two separate items. Politician Wimperson, not the most awe-inspiring tail end, is it? I see why he cut it. Not that he inspires confidence without it, still, I'd probably do the same in his shoes. A police report was filed about the crystal theft a year ago, but the theft of the Founder's Orb was only reported a few weeks ago. So the crystal's police report was filed way before the orb was found missing. That's just the stolen relic is the crystal of Amy Faye, as Mr. Attition Wimperson asserts. I doubt the police report is fake. After all, Emma is the one who submitted it as evidence. Still, I feel like something we learn in the police report is important somehow. Well, let's check it out then.
I don't see what that is for.
Yeah, at the moment...
Can you look at his profile?
Yeah, I can't.
Can you look at that name? That's his initials, Paul Attition Wimperson.
Politician... Oh! Hey!
So he was asking about it.
Yeah.
What date is there a date on that?
No, but that's, that was my first thing. Maybe you were looking for the date, which I couldn't find. So...
Objection!
Way to go, babe. The doctor stole the relic from the plaintiff. Are you sure? Because that statement doesn't agree with a certain piece of evidence. What do you mean? Take a look at this. What about it? This contains an email from the doctor's computer. Email and that little piece of plastic? I'm afraid I don't understand. Oh, this stick here can store all sorts of computer data. I still don't get it. Here, just look at this. Apparently, the doctor was reporting his research findings to a certain individual. Now, take a look at this. It's the police report Detective Sky presented to this court. You can see the plaintiff's legal name on it. Politician Wimperson. I see why he dropped Wimperson from his name, but that's hardly breaking news. Look closer, Your Honor. His initials! Ah, I was waiting for him to have his reaction toward us. Yeah. Right, the plaintiff's full legal name is Politician Wimperson. Now consider this. The email's recipient address starts with 3 letters. P-A-W? Ah! Don't tell me. Oh, but I will anyway. The individual who hired the doctor to study the disputed item is not other than Politician Wimperson. Wait, then that means... Exactly, he wouldn't have asked the man who stole his family heirloom to study it. Therefore, how could this possibly be the crystal of Amy Faye? Ah. And yet, what is Phoenix going to find to prolong this? Because that seems pretty cut and dry. We never checked the doctor's emails. We couldn't even figure out the password to his computer. The plaintiff willingly left the orb in the doctor's care so he could study it, at the behest of his benefactor. Wait, then what about the police report? I have all the details of the theft right here. It's probably for another relic, the real crystal of Amy Faye. He's just using the report as a way to claim that our orb is actually his stolen crystal. And how are you so certain that Paul refers to my client's initials? Maybe the email's recipient was a dog lover. Perhaps, so let's get to know your client a little better, shall we? Mr. Politician 1%? I suppose shutting down the tractors is all part of a politician's job. Answer me this question. What is... Your birthday, yeah, because those other numbers. What is your birthday? My birthday? It's July 11th, but what's it to you? Oh, I see. You can address birthday gifts to my office. But full disclosure, I only accept gifts valued at $1,000 or more. Why has everyone gotten so silent? How can anyone be that self-centered? Oh, right, politician. Did everyone hear that? He said July 11th. July 11th, or rather 7-11, matches the numbers in the email address. Both the name and the birthday are a match. I hardly think that's a coincidence. Wait, why, you sneaky little... Looks like someone finally decided to join the conversation. Would the plaintiff care to explain? I would like to say that is quite what? Quite a thing you've said. Any other thoughts? No further comments. I stand by my previous statement.
Hold it!
You can't just walk away. Even politicians have to explain themselves at a court of law. I'm afraid I simply don't know how it happened. I can't possibly explain matters outside of my purview. Perhaps it was a mistake on the part of my secretary. Oh, no you don't, you slippery eel. Mr. Wright, would you care to respond? I won't argue your assertion. My client lent the treasure in question to the doctor and asked him to study it. It seems that much is a fact. Now we're getting somewhere. However, it has no bearing on the issue of ownership. How so? Mr. Attishan, I fully understand your position here. You had to hide the fact that you sent the crystal out to be studied. Your family would have been very upset if they had found out. It's a family heirloom, after all. You've got to be kidding me. Mr. Wright is, well, right, of course, but then he always is. That's why he's my lawyer. The crystal is a precious Attishan family heirloom. Has been for centuries, but Dr. Buff was so eager to study its proud heritage, I just couldn't say no. I didn't even tell my grandfather.
Objection!
But in order to win the backing of your so-called benefactor, you were going to give what you claim to be the crystal of Amy Faye to that person. You were going to give a precious family heirloom away, just like that? I was going to explain everything to grandfather later, honest. My client's grandfather is very proud of his grandson for following in his footsteps, and if refusing him would have meant dashing the dreams of his darling grandson. I doubt the kindly old man could have said no. Well, grandchildren are meant to be spoiled. That's what grandfathers are for. Your Honor, please. I mean, it's been in the family for centuries. My grandfather thinks highly of my talent as a politician. That's why he entrusted me with this very important name placard today. So I'm sure he would have been okay with me using the crystal as I saw fit. Grandpa's spoiled little brat. I think the judge is buying it, Apollo. No surprise there, he's always going on about his own grandchild after all. Excuse me, can I leave now, Mr. Wright? I believe my work here is done. By all means, Detective Skye, thank you for your assistance. You're welcome. It's nice to testify at a civil trial once in a while. See you around. It seems the facts have changed somewhat. Mr. Attition Wimperson apparently lent his family heirloom to Dr. Buff. Mr. Justice, how would the defense like to proceed? All right, now what? Apollo, let's hear what they know about this so-called crystal of Amy Faye. Maybe we can find some inconsistencies in their statements. Right. Okay then, Mr. Wright. If the item in question really is an Attition family heirloom, then let's hear all your client knows about it. Of course. Mr. Attition Wimperson, please tell the defense everything you know about the crystal's origin. All right. Now then, listen and learn. This is the tale of the crystal of Amy Faye and the illustrious history of the Attition clan. Are you ready? Our story begins back in the old country, when the Attition family reigned supreme. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals. Some discriminated against them, you see, while others tried to abuse their power. As thanks, Amy Faye gave the crystal she had specially made as a gift to him. I am a descendant of that great lord. As such, my political power and influence is backed by centuries of history.
That doesn't really explain.
Yeah. Well, that devolved into a great load of self-aggrandizement. Is it Eve Shenetto or Ive Shenetto? Age 85, gave the following statement. The Attition showed me the crystal back when I was but a lad. Can we really trust the memory of an old man? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain that statement to the judge? I didn't mean, what I'm trying to say is, never underestimate the memory of your elders. I may forget my verdicts the next day, but the memories of my past are clear as day. Therefore, I find Mr. Eve Shenetto's statement to be perfectly credible. Wow, did you see how Mr. Wright got the judge on his side? That's definitely a trick I want up my sleeve. You're not helping, Athena. You may cross-examine the witness, Mr. Justice.
Hold it!
That object you set down there, is it something of importance to you? It's a name placard. This one here belonged to my grandfather, Abraham Attition. He had it custom made during his distinguished political career. It's special because it was crafted from the finest Italian plastic. I wasn't aware that Italians were famous for their fine plastic. You can touch it if you want. See, he looks so his smile here looks so nervous or something when he does that. No, I'm fine. Very well, I'll just continue with my testimony. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler, but he was also an eminent politician. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals. Whoops.
Hold it!
So I take it the relationship with the Fae clan was a close one. A smooth and open line of communication with my entire electorate. That is the politician way. Huh? Oh, sorry. I was asking about your ancestor. Whether it's about me or my ancestor, feel free to ask me anything you'd like. Transparency in government, that's the politician way. More like dodging questions, that's the politician way. Thanks, I'll be sure to ask when I have something you'll actually answer. As I was saying, the Attition family protected the Fae spirit mediums back then.
Hold it!
Spirit mediums were targets of discrimination. Yes, some people even treated them like they were monsters. Transformation the mediums underwent when channeling spirits frightened the locals. And then there were those who tried to use them. You mean they sought to control the channeling powers of the mediums? Discriminating against a minority is absolutely despicable. A vote for me is a vote to end discrimination. I vow to root it out, wherever it may be. That is my promise to you. He's totally ignoring your questions. It's like you're a moderator at a political debate. Yeah, and only he cares about his talking points. As thrilling as your campaign is, could we please get back to your testimony? Feh, as you wish. Now then, ask for the crystal of Amy Faye.
Hold it!
Said she had it made, so then it was made in Japan. That's right, they say she hired a famous craftsman to make it. And they say it's quite valuable, too. And you were going to take such a priceless family heirloom. Just give it to your patron. Feh, that's so typical of you ignorant common types. Making difficult decisions when the chips are down is what being a politician is all about. But only when it's in service of your own political career, you mean. The crystal is a testament to my ancestors' remarkable achievements. And furthermore...
Hold it!
So tell me, Mr. Attition 1%, are you famous in Karain Village? You could say that, but I find my popularity to be rather bemusing. Bemusing? Yes, my campaign posters keep going missing as soon as I put them up. My avid supporters and female fans are likely taking them home to hang in their bedrooms. I guess ignorance really is bliss. All this only proves my fine lineage.
Hold it!
I'm sorry, but is any of that relevant to the issue of the relic's rightful owner? Have you never heard of kingcraft? Kingcraft? It's the art of ruling as a king. My father drilled it into my head from a young age, and one of its precepts states, "Ruin awaits a ruler who responds to every single issue posed by the masses." Well, that answered my question about what he meant by king of this nation. Progress. Paula, who is this Amy Faye anyway? I believe she was the founder of the Karain channeling technique. The plaintiff claimed she had the crystal made for his ancestor. That would mean it was made in Japan, right? Yes, I suppose it would. Let's see.
Can we examine the bottom and see if it says made in China?
That'd be funny, but no, it's just a picture. I mean, the top and bottom of the orb kind of looks like the lampposts back in Karain.
I thought I saw blood on it. Not on the orb.
Well, I do see those red marks, so yes.
Is that blood, or do you think that that's regular muscle?
I mean, they seem to be on the right, like, if you look on the bottom, they're on the right-hand side of each side.
Maybe it's supposed to be like marble.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it does kind of look like blood, but it's like, why are they so evenly spaced?
Maybe Use reference on the
Well-
volume.
Yeah. Well, that seems to have the same pattern. See that? It's like question mark and upside down question mark. So the patterns are the same for that.
I think it might be.
Possibly. Because why does this have the same markings?
That's something that's in the brain.
Yeah. See, like,
It's
says-
brain found in theory.
yeah.
Objection!
You stated that Amy Faye had the crystal made for your ancestor. So am I to assume it was made in Japan? That's right, the craftsmanship is unbeatable. Well, that's strange. I don't see how your so-called crystal could have been made there. What are you talking about? It's quite obvious if you take a closer look at this.
Take that!
Yes. Take a look at the distinctive design here. According to Dr. Buff, it's a Mitama motif dating back to the early days of the Kingdom of Kurain. It features the same pattern as the one found on the orb. The Kurain channeling technique originated in the Kingdom of Kurain, and Amy Faye is known to have traveled there to train. With that in mind, what's to say she didn't bring that pattern back with her? But since this is clearly a Kurainese design, not even you can deny the possibility that it was made there in the Kingdom of Kurain. Anything's possible to some extent, that doesn't make it true. So you can't conclude that the orb is from Kurain based solely on that pattern. If it were that simple, I could just as easily say it's Japanese. I have to agree with Mr. Wright, the pattern alone proves nothing, but that also means there's no basis to claim the item in dispute was made in Japan either. At this rate, we're going nowhere fast. Alright, he's right, we're just spinning our wheels here. I wonder if we have any evidence that could break the stalemate. Evidence that could break the stalemate. Yes, it exists.
No way.
No. The defense would like to present a piece of evidence to the court. A piece that will finally break the stalemate. Oh, well, you surely piqued my interest. Let's see what you've got. Alright. I will now prove that this is, in fact, the Founder's Orb. Oh dear.
Not bad.
Let me see the, Well, it looks like it's the same design there, and he calls it an orb.
He says the orb is heat, so do we have something in the orb strictly by itself? Before it was put in?
Not that I've seen.
Let's
No.
look at the dad. No orbs never.
No. Like, I was looking for that to see if it was somewhere in the photo, and...
Let's go back to the beginning of all this stuff.
Yeah. We did this. The favor of the orb is bestowed. I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb for the Defiant Dragons by opening no harm. Well, that's what it says to be opened to.
Oh. I don't know.
Let me try this.
Let's try.
Flash drive. Not by any means I can fathom. Sorry, Apollo, but I have to agree with the boss on this. Me too, actually. Me 3 defense. Yikes. Time to think that one over again, Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor. Let's just say it doesn't exist, then. Doesn't seem to be anything we can use, at least not at this point. Unless we can find something, this trial won't go anywhere. I mean, I guess it makes sense. If you could just prove it was the Founder's Orb right now, then that'd be difficult. Phew, that's much better. What's his deal? I have a suggestion. Why don't we consider this from a different angle? I'm listening. What if the Defiant Dragons really were authorized to take possession of the relic? I'm afraid I don't know where you're going with this, Mr. Wright. Consider the Orb Transfer Agreement, which states, I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb to the Defiant Dragons if I will come to no harm. What if, as the last part suggests, this was written under duress? That would render the agreement null and void. What are you suggesting, Mr. Wright? While you were on your little cave expedition, I was investigating Dr. Buff's accident. And there was something you overlooked, Mr. Justice. Namely, that his accident might have actually been murder. What? Murder? Mr. Wright, you do realize such statements are not to be made lightly. Are you suggesting the Doctor was murdered by the Defiant Dragons? Yes, but follow me on this for a sec. The books that came tumbling down were from the archaeology shelf. However, among that mountain of books was a single volume on psychology. What's more, there was some blood on it. And you feel this is important because the books that came tumbling down were from the top shelf, the archaeology books. We know this because the Doctor's books were meticulously organized by subject. Archaeology took up the entire shelf, so that psychology book is completely out of place. Come to think of it, the shelves were arranged quite carefully. It's also worth noting that psychology books only take up a tiny part of the bottom shelf. You might wonder why a book on psychology was found amid the pile of archaeology books, but I believe I can explain what that single out-of-place book was doing there. The Doctor was struck from behind while selecting a psychology book from the shelf. And that's when the blood got on the book? Precisely. To make it look like an accident, it was buried under a mountain of archaeology books.
Objection!
Wait a second, this is all just speculation, right? Or do you have proof that it was murder? Of course I do. You do? On a hunt, I had Detective Skye examine the Doctor's head wound. She found that he'd been struck by the corner of some object or another. Wait, what? A wound like that couldn't have resulted from a fall to the floor, you know. Do you understand what this means, Mr. Justice? The wound makes it crystal clear that Dr. Buff was murdered. What? Well, that was unexpected. Who'd have thought we'd break out of the stalemate like this? He pulled the ladder right from under us. Still, if he thinks that's enough to make me back down, he's got another thing coming. Even if the cause of death was murder, what makes you think it was the Defiant Dragons? You should know better than to hurl baseless accusations.
Objection!
Did you forget who you were up against, Mr. Justice? Huh? You didn't actually think I'd come to court without witnesses and evidence, did you?
Yeah,
Actually,
you do every other
yeah,
time.
I do. I would like to request further testimony from the plaintiff. Specifically, I would like the court to hear how he saw one of the rebels leaving the crime scene.
Who?
He saw what?
And we know that Dax came there to talk to him.
Yeah. If he can prove it was murder, that's the end of our client's right to the orb. Did he have this up his sleeve the whole time? How could Mr. Wright do this to us? He was just waiting to spring this trap. Heh.
Yeah, you're gonna be a pooper?
Yes. This trial has taken another unexpected turn, but I must mention, Mr. Wright, that you have yet to identify the murder weapon. The object used to commit the murder was not located at the scene of the crime. The murderer likely disposed of it elsewhere. Well, I never thought we'd be deliberating the issue of murder at a civil trial. All right, Mr. Attition, 1%, your testimony, if you please. Prepare to be dazzled. Dazzled by charismatic oration forged in the crucible of campaign battles. That evening I was walking alone, lost in thought. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Arbel. He was running out the front door. It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of the crime. A vote for me is a vote to end such violence. That is my promise to you.
It's probably the diagram. Can he see him laying on the floor passing by? Oh, he didn't see him laying on the floor, did he? He just saw the guy running away.
Looks like, yeah. And it was within the window of the estimated time of death. That's Arbel. What in the world were you doing there, then? It seems Mr. Arbel was loitering about Crane Village that day. There's evidence he was in the doctor's study as well, isn't that right, Mr. Justice? Ah, you mean the suitcase. Exactly, he must have been in quite the rush to leave that behind. Oh, and by the way, Your Honor, Mr. Arbel just so happens to be sitting in the gallery today. Ack! See, that's him trying to escape as we speak. Wow. Bailiff, don't let that man get away. Right, you backstabber, why are you doing this to me?
Hold it!
Why were you taking a walk? Society is inundated with serious problems that must be solved, and as a politician, I'm always on the job, thinking hard about possible solutions, even on my walks. Thanks for the non-answer. While we live out our comfy lives, there are starving children who suffer in the back alleys of our major cities. It's not in me to ignore such suffering. A vote for me is a vote to end hunger, and for world peace. Yes, Mr. Attition 1%, we are well aware of your outstanding character. Now please continue with your testimony. Heh heh heh. I can practically hear my poll numbers surging. Now on with my speech. After all, the voting public must be informed of the magnificence that is me.
Hold it!
Where exactly were you when you saw Mr. Arbel? Right here under this tree. I saw him dashing out of Dr. Buff's front door. And he didn't notice you. No, I was hidden by the tree. Is it really all that important to know from where the plaintiff saw Mr. Arbel? Yeah, sure, it is. Yes, I believe it matters a lot. I ask that it please be added to the witness's testimony. I'm not going to present anything on this because I remember one time we did a testimony and there were like 2 additions or something like that. So I'm just going to press this and keep going. What were you doing under that tree? A lack of lateral thinking. That is a politician's downfall. What? That is why, if I'm elected, I promise to think outside the box. The question was, what were you doing under the tree, Mr. Attition 1%? Fair, I suppose I can't expect a plebeian such as yourself to understand my grand design. Oh yeah? Try me, O Lord of Plebs. Mr. Attition 1%, I believe the court is well aware of your grand political vision. Now, let's have the rest of your testimony, if you please. Hey, I can hardly wait for the upcoming election. He was running out the front door.
Hold it!
Did you notice anything unusual? Yes, his behavior was incredibly suspicious. His eyes were darting all around as he ran off in total panic. As soon as I saw that, I knew he had done something, and it probably wasn't good. Despite that, you still didn't report it to the police. Who would have thought he had killed Dr. Buff? Not me, that's why I didn't report him. So the witness didn't notify the police. Is that an important statement, Mr. Justice? Yes, it is. Yes, it's important. I request that the witness add it to his testimony. Feh, sure, why not?
Hold it!
You had no idea he was dead. In other words, you knew nothing about what happened. I am truly ashamed of myself. What? There's been a gruesome murder in my beloved village. What a fool I've been. I was thinking only of the village's future and world peace. It seems my earnest attitude and industrious nature have come back to haunt him. To me. Jeez, a three-way catfight?
She was defending him.
No, she just wanted to fight. Only a politician would try to pass off self-aggrandizement as self-deprecation. Hey, Kitty, come over here. Paula, you think this is how all politicians will be from now on? We're all doomed if they are. If you don't mind, I'd like to continue with my testimony.
Hold it!
But at the time, you didn't know the doctor was dead, is that correct? It's true that I've been known as a prodigy from a very young age. Huh? I graduated high school and college with exceptional grades. As class president, I reformed stale, old-school traditions. My exploits were even covered in local papers. But as exceptional as I am, I can't possibly be expected to know everything at all times. This isn't working. He keeps bending the questions to serve his own needs. Hang in there, Apollo. Mr. Ortician Whipperson, I believe the court is well aware of your exceptional nature. Now, would you please continue with your testimony? Heh heh heh, I have the upcoming election in the bag.
Hold it!
So how do you actually intend to end such violence? Elite politicians such as myself never reveal their strategies. Did you really think I would divulge such sensitive information to the likes of you? Yeah, but surely you have some sort of campaign platform you're running on. No comment. Clearly, his is a platform, told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. He said he saw Datch from under the tree. If that's true, then, did you figure something out? Yeah, I think he's hiding something. Let's take another look at the evidence, Athena. I mean, it definitely looked like he could,
How does he know that? I mean, probably not the answer that we were needing, but how does he know him? He's foreign. He's not from there. He came to visit. Like, how does he even know him?
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that if he were standing there, shouldn't you be able to see him? Because there's the window there? So, like, if he had no idea he was dead, like, I'm wondering if it's this.
Objection!
Mr. Ortician Whimperson, rather than Mr. Arbol, wasn't there something else that should have had your undivided attention? Like what? Oh yes, of course. A politician must keep his finger on the electorate's pulse and focus on the nation. Sorry, but you're way off. I am? Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice? If the witness saw Mr. Arbol from his position here, yeah, then he should have been able to also see the doctor's body. After all, it was right next to a huge window. Why, I believe you have a point there. With the body that clearly visible to the witness, it's unthinkable that he wouldn't have reported it to the police. Ah. Would the witness care to respond? Whoa, what the heck? Did he fall asleep? Mr. Ortician Whimperson? Seriously, dude?
Is he overdosing? Is he sleeping?
Mr. Attention Wimperson! Huh? Oh, there are many sides to any issue. What did I ever do to deserve this? In any case, I'd like the court to acknowledge the inconsistency in the witness's testimony. Mr. Attention Wimperson, did you really see Mr. Arbel? Yes.
Hold it!
Where do you think you're going? Oh, I thought I'd return to my seat, seeing as I had already answered the question. This isn't some small town hall debate, so you just stay right there until I say we're through. I'll have to run that by my campaign manager before I... Mr. Attention Wimperson, I think it's time for you to come clean. Huh? So then, does this mean he didn't see Mr. Arbel? As your lawyer, Mr. Attention Wimperson, I advise you divulge that matter we discussed. Silence is no longer an option. Are you sure about this? I'm in the midst of running for office. I can't afford to let any strange rumors get out. Don't worry, you won't suffer any blowback for what you're about to reveal. Blowback? I'm not sure I like the sound of that, Mr. Wright. Not to worry, Your Honor. Nothing untoward will come of this, I promise. Now then, Mr. Justice, remember how it was an anonymous caller that reported the doctor's death? Come to think of it. Wait, you're not saying that... Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. The anonymous source who contacted the police after discovering the body was... my client, Mr. Politician Wimperson. What? You don't say. So you see, he played his part as a concerned citizen quite admirably, if I may say so. Isn't that right? Yes, indeed. In our society today, there are too many who choose indifference over righteous action. But I don't number among them. That's why I did my duty as a concerned citizen. One might call me the model citizen, one worthy of standing above the rest. What a real standard-bearer he is, reporting anonymously. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Justice, wasn't there someone else at the scene of the crime when my client discovered the body?
The child?
Oh, you mean Mr. Arbel. He would have been leaving the doctor's house right around then. Wait, that means...
Was his kid there too?
I don't know, all we know is maybe the Joan was. What my client witnessed was Mr. Arbel fleeing the scene of a heinous murder. Ah, and that's not all. Based on what we've heard so far, Mr. Arbel looked exceedingly suspicious, and that's putting it mildly. We already know that Defiant Dragons threatened the Doctor with bodily harm. And now that they've killed him, the so-called Orb Transfer Agreement is null and void.
How did he kill him? Okay, what did they do?
Their own agreement? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Apollo, if we don't come up with some sort of counter-argument, what sort of evidence do you have? Can you actually prove that it was Mr. Arbel who killed the Doctor? That move had desperate written all over it. It's all I've got, so I'm going with it. Evidence? I suppose it's true that I don't have any. I knew it. But I do have another witness. You do? You should know, I always come fully prepared, Mr. Justice. Yeah. And my new witness will provide testimony proving Mr. Arbel's guilt. Like, I feel like what he's saying has to be an in-joke for fans of the series, because, like, we've watched videos of how unprepared he is where he doesn't know the name of his own client coming in. A new witness, I wonder who it could be. Very well, bailiff, please summon our new witness. In the meantime, the court will take a brief recess. I would like both sides to use this time to prepare properly, understood? Oh god, you know, if it's that kid who's a witness and he comes in with his drone, I may die. Wow, I knew Mr. Wright would put up a tough fight, but... yeah, just when I thought we had him, he turned the tables on us. He really is the turnabout terror. We can't let him blindside us again. Looks like they've got me again. 3 times in 1 year. That's a new record. Har har har, har har har. Dats, please, no more new records or bad puns while you're at it. It's hard enough trying to help you as it is. Roger that. I'll be more careful next time. Dad says, what Mr. Wright said true? Did you really pay a visit to Dr. Buff that night? Sure did. Can't remember the exact time, though. All I know is he wouldn't hand over the orb. Someone put in his head that we rebels were dangerous. That's why he threw me out. So the doctor was still alive when Dad last saw him. We'll still have to prove it, though. Better brace yourself, son. The next witness's testimony can make or break the case. Yeah, I know. Hey, where's Trucy? She went to go see her dad. Maybe she's still mad. More like worried. Worried that this trial will create a rift between you two. And that she might then leave the agency. Ha ha ha, she has an active imagination. Excuse me, the trial will be resuming shortly. Well, let's go see what new testimony awaits us. Alright, court is back in session. Mr. Wright, you said you had a witness? Your Honor, I would like to call the lone survivor of the doctor's murder to the stand. Wait, he can't mean that Sarge is here. You mean Dr. Buff's reclusive son? How did you get him to cooperate? Nothing a little persuasion couldn't handle. The poor child only agreed to help if it meant catching the killer. Getting a kid like that to overcome his fear, now that's impressive. This must be really important testimony for the kid to come out in public like this.
Jack's the drone.
Yeah, which I have a feeling, because the drone's so cute. Yeah, see? There's no feet. So it's going to be the drone. Oh my! Sergeant Buff at your service? Sir! He's here as the drone, really? Mr. Wright, what exactly is the meaning of this? Past trauma has rendered it impossible for the witness to venture into public. Leaving home was hard enough, and it seems leaving the witness lobby was just too much. But I would still like to continue with testimony delivered via this drone. So he's in the building right now. That's amazing. I understand it must be terrible to lose one's father like that. Testimony via remote control toy? Well, let's take things for a spin and see how it goes. Just who's piloting this trial anyway? The judge sure warmed up to the idea fast. I think the phrase you're looking for is gave up. You disappointed me, Corporal Justice. To think I once called you comrade. Seriously? Defending the man who killed Papa? That's full-on treason, soldier. I hereby demote you back to private. Corporal? Private? What's he talking about, Apollo? It's a long story. Now then, are you ready to testify, youngster? Locked and loaded, sir, ready to rain lead down upon the perpetrator. Ha 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 ha. Papa met with someone the night he died. He didn't have eyes on the ground, as I'd already mounted my siege defense, but I did hear him arguing with someone in his study. From my window, I saw the one designated Dats getting ejected from the premises. After that, the man lingered around the perimeter for some time. He must have regrouped and killed my Papa in the study later. I just know it.
Maybe it's not a Titian because he was standing under the tree.
Yeah.
And
Doing his thing. Shoot. Yes, Your Honor. So the man my client saw really must have been the fleeing Mr. Arbel. Objection! Right, you backstabbing. No good. I didn't kill no one. It's the enemy. Ready all missiles and fire! Oh, seriously? Ha 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 ha. Capitalist pig. It'll turn you into pork stroganoff. And that's just a taste of my ultimate anti-swine weapon. Whoa, it fires missiles too? Yes, well, the witness is all yours, Mr. Justice.
Hold it!
Your father met with someone. Could you be more specific? No, I was in the midst of a crucial defensive siege operation. Right. You're referring to how you don't leave your room, correct? You never know where the enemy might be lurking outside the siege perimeter. What about, school? Oh, I don't go to boot camp. I'm a soldier. A sergeant doesn't associate with rookies still too green to fight. With a kid like this, I bet Dr. Buff won't be getting any rest in the afterlife either. It was very brave of you to come to the courthouse today. But what was that you said about a siege defense? Oh, that, well.
Hold it!
Sarge, I've always wondered. Who or what are you battling? That's classified. Even so, it may be relevant to this case. I don't know if you're the right person to be asking about things like that. That's right, such matters need to be handled with a certain delicacy. Oh, I guess curiosity got the better of me. You're all talk and no action, soldier. Out on the battlefield, it ain't the number of pretty words in your repertoire, but the number of bullets in your gun belt that counts. Easy for you to say, you're the one with all of them. Would the witness please tell this court what he saw and heard that night?
Hold it!
What was the argument about? I heard things like, where's the orb, and are you defying dragon truly criminal? It sounded really volatile, like a war might break out at any second. So the two of them had an argument when Dats came to get the orb. Did you see or hear anything else? Yeah, I heard them arguing and then silence.
Hold it!
How is Mr. Allball acting? Like a conquered trooper retreating with his tail between his legs. A trooper? Well, I guess he does dress like he's in the military. I bet those two would have really hit it off had they met under different circumstances. Yeah, I can see that. And so, the defeated soldier was expelled, but that wasn't the end.
Hold it!
Well, he couldn't exactly leave without the orb. I bet he was angry that he'd been kicked out.
Hold it!
But don't you keep your front door unlocked? If so, then anyone could have gotten in. That's true. Papa didn't keep our house locked up. He said there was no need because there were only good people in Karain Village. Yet they ended up dead anyway. Only a monster could do what they did to my kind, trusting Papa. There will be no mercy. I vow swift and terrible vengeance. I'll carpet bomb the killer with everything in my arsenal. Fire! While I sympathize with you, witness, you will refrain from firing Gatling guns in this court. So Sarge saw Dats too. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse. I wonder why he hung around after being thrown out. I hate to say this, but if Dats is proven to be the killer, we'll lose the orb to the plaintiff. So our only option is to prove the Defiant Dragons had nothing to do with the murder. I mean, perhaps, but we can't do it right now. Also, even though we're not done with this testimony, I'm tired. Yeah. So it's not the perfect stopping point, but I think it'll be a stopping point nonetheless. It's kind of cool to have this kind of reversal where right is on the other side. And I feel like he's totally trolling us with the, oh, he's come prepared.
Seems like never.
Yeah, since never. So, alright, well, let's get a good night's rest, and then